Now you can look at my
Okay.
ugly face.
And you're right next to Alan Glickson.
Yeah, that's sad.
Morning, Brian.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. So we're at 11 o'clock. We had to do a little pivot. Hal and I agree, wanted to make sure everyone could be seen if they want to be seen. And I want to welcome everyone to our first webinar in this format. So hopefully everyone's safe or getting safer and getting in line for their shots and all. My name is Frank Fantozzi. I'm president of Plant Financial Services. So thank you very much for joining us. And I'm very proud to have our kick off our series here with Hal Becker of the Becker Group. Based on some of the conversation I'm already hearing, his reputation precedes him. But I do feel I do want to highlight a few things. I mean, Hal's become a good friend of myself and the firm, and he's a nationally known speaker on sales and customer service and negotiation. And I think one of the reasons why we wanted to kick it off with Hal is because, with the way technology is moving, and what I mean by that, people just, with the abundance of email that we all get and the texting that's going on, what I'm personally afraid of, and I have this talk with my two daughters, one who's Natalie's soon to be 23, and my oldest, Nicole, is 26. You probably see him in the background here, is just the art of talking and listening. And I think a lot of the things that Hal will touch on today is those aspects of that. I'm worried that it's becoming a lost art and people are hiding behind, email and texting because they have difficulty, in a face-to-face conversation with people. Hal's conducted seminars with over 140 organizations. He's done work for IBM, Disney, New York Life, United Airlines, Verizon, Terminix, AT&T, and more. His start was really at age 22. He was Xerox's #1 salesperson nationally. Imagine at 22. That's when most kids are just getting out of college, and he's leading Xerox, a publicly traded company, in sales. He's an author of numerous books. Can I Have 5 Minutes of Your Time, Lip Service, Get What You Want, and The Ultimate Sales Book. I'm sure he's going to draw from several of those books in his conversations. He's been in numerous publications, radio, TV, Wall Street, Business Week. He's ultimate consummate professional, and he cares very deeply about what he does. And I think the passion that you'll see today that will be evident in how he talks to us all. So I'm going to cut myself short because I'd rather give more time to Hal and make sure people, if you have questions, can answer them. So Hal, I'm just going to turn it over to you. Okay.
Thank you. And I told him, don't read a bio. I say the only person who cares about a bio is the speaker. And it's not important. You can read anything online. So I've got about 50 minutes. I'm going to leave some time for Q&A. I promise you this will go by quickly. And here's what we're going to do for a little bit of time. We're going to talk about what we just call common sense. I can't tell you over the years how many hundreds of organizations have brought me into their company to talk about customer service or sales. But today, since we're talking about, or thousands, but today, since we're talking about customer service, I'm going to give you one word and 2 words to summarize the whole thing. Be nice. Okay. That's it. People pay a lot of money to teach people to be nice. And I find this amazing that not only was I able to write a book on this and it sold copies, that people want to bring you in to speak. This does nothing. Okay. This does nothing. Either you're nice or you're not. You might need some reminders, but let's just go through the common sense part of it. None of us can go 3 days without having lousy service. It's a fact of life. I mean, no matter what you do, today's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when you get back to work Monday, something's going to happen that just pissed you off. And companies will talk about it, and they'll go through their mission statements, their value statements, their vision statements. But when it comes down to it, we don't get great customer service anymore. And the shame of it is the exception to the rule is what we gravitate to. This should be standard operating procedure. So I'm going to go through some things, we'll show some videos, and talk about, the only thing I do ask, if any of you are typing, please turn your keyboard, your sound off. because that's the only thing you can always hear, clicks and keyboards. And frankly, you shouldn't be typing anyhow. You should be listening for 50 minutes. Get your emails, get your voicemails, get your texts later. Look, I got to do the same thing. My phone's turned off. Okay. So let's get into it. There were some things in the PR piece that we're talking about. What I'm going to talk about today. Let's just talk about this common sense. Customer service is trying to create a triple win for any company. And let me explain the triple win. Number one, if you offer good service, the customer wins. Customer is most important because wherever you work, whatever industry you're in or used to be in, without customers, you didn't have a business. It's that simple. No customers, no business, no employees. So the customer's got to win. Number two, the employee has to win. They have to feel good about themselves. They don't want to run to mommy and daddy and go, can I do this for the customer? Oh, please. And then come back to the customer and say, I got permission to do this. You should be able to do this. Number three, the company wins because that means they spend less money advertising. They build better brand awareness. I'll give you a couple examples. Open up whatever newspaper is left in any city and open up and look for the full page ads. Macy's, Bloomingdale's, whatever it might be. Then look for Nordstrom ads. Very small ads. Their service is legendary. Another example would be, I love this example. It's a worldwide brand. Everybody's heard of Rolls-Royce, whether it's the engines on airplanes, because the two major aircraft engines are GE or Rolls-Royce, or the very expensive exotic car, Rolls-Royce. Well, in either case of their two-part business, they only sell, and it's funny because it's about the same numbers, they only sell about 10,000 each. They sell about 10,000 jet engines a year, and they sell about 10,000 automobiles. A worldwide brand for 20,000 sales, but their customer service is legendary. Disney is known for their customer service. And there's certain companies that just stand out. I mean, look, any of us, and I'm a member at both places. You can go to Sam's Club, you can go to Costco. Most people will tell you Costco is a different experience. And it's because of the way they're set up. So the first thing you have to do in business is, and these are the simplest three things to write down if you're still in business, is number one, a strategy. You got to put a strategy together. Whatever that strategy is, it could be on the back of a cocktail napkin, but you have to have a strategy. Number two is the implementation of the strategy. How are you going to implement it? How are you going to roll it out? Number three is observing people do the strategy. Here's a perfect example of one of the best companies in the world that doesn't advertise. They advertise very little, but their brand awareness is remarkable. Ritz-Carlton. At a Ritz-Carlton hotel, now, I don't know if they've been doing this the last year and a half or 2 years, but prior to COVID, they were doing this. You walk into any Ritz-Carlton and they have the employees have a tri-fold plastic card. And it's this size, a little smaller, tri-fold. It's maybe that big. And they have to keep it on their person at all times. If you're in a Ritz-Carlton and you want to mess with someone, say, do you have your Credo card on you? They'll look at you because they'll think you're a spy for the company or an employer, or you're working at headquarters. And if they don't, they're going to be they'll know they're in trouble. And the Credo card had 20 sayings, and the front of the card, just the front, had a very simple saying for all the years they've had this. We're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. If you want to treat her like a lady, act like one. If you want to treat her like a gentleman, act like one. And then you open it up. I'm not going to go through the 20 sayings, but I'm going to go to number 9. Any employee who receives a guest complaint owns the complaint. Pretty basic. They don't have to run around, they have to do anything. And then where they stepped it up. And I'm not saying your company or your business has to do it with these numbers, but here's what they did. First line employees, housekeepers, busboys, can spend up to $2,000 to satisfy customers' needs. Management, $5,000. So think about it. Whatever the guest said, my pleasure. Let me take care of that for you. You're stunned. And they felt great about themselves because they were able to do this. So I'm going to show you a couple things. When my daughter was getting married a few years ago, she wanted to, we looked at different venues. And one of the and my goal was really like, you know, Taco Bell, KFC. It was two different menus. And I thought it would have been a great, keep the money, go buy a house or something. But so the first place they looked at was Ritz-Carlton. And we ended up at the Hilton downtown, but they looked at Ritz-Carlton. I said, I don't want to go. I just don't want to go. It'll kill me. So they go in there. But what impressed me the most, and they took pictures and I kept these, is that the woman who was showing Nicole around went online, looked at her LinkedIn, whether it was her Facebook page, something, and she found that she was a graduate at Ohio State. So when she walked in, this is what they had ready for my wife and my daughter, was a plate with Jell-O, a couple glasses of champagne, and to try to make it personal for them, that little extra step on the first meeting changed the vibe. And there was one more picture I thought was pretty cool. It takes a second for you to go through this, but hold on one second. So, and the other one was this. They took the plate and they made the plate just a little bit special as well, looking like that. And a little tiny thing to win them over. And I don't remember the reason why we didn't choose Ritz-Carlton. It wasn't my decision. I literally told my daughter, seriously, whatever you want to do, it's your wedding, not mine. But when companies do things a little bit different, and that was Steve Jobs' motto at Apple, be different. Not better, be different. And if you think about Apple, they never invented a new product. They always made everything better. The computer, they used GUI, which is graphical user interface. The mouse had the first one with the little roller ball. They made a better mouse. The iPod came with the scroll wheel. The iPad was easy to use, came with, they didn't want you to have a pencil at first. They want everything touch screen. Everything they did was just better. So pre-COVID, I saw something that shocked me, just shocked me. And I'm not making these numbers up, just on United, 2.2 million miles I haven't turned in yet. And that's not even including Delta and Southwest and American. So I've got, 3 million plus miles just that I haven't turned in yet, let alone the couple of million I've already used. And pre-COVID, I'm standing, and if anybody's flown, which of course all of you have, when you fly Southwest, which I love their idea, you get a number and you stand in line. If you're at number 38, you look for 37 or 39, there's your spot. But when you fly United, let's say in Cleveland, because we used to be a hub for Continental, we're still a larger, not a mini hub, but we have more flights here for United than pretty much any other airline. And because of so many passengers at United, pre-Continental, we have a lot of platinum members, gold members, and if you buy the most expensive credit card, which means when you board, you can be in zone 1. And what means zone 1 means this, is you're standing for 30 minutes before your flight, just standing, waiting to get in line so you can put your bag overhead. If you're sitting in first class and there's only so many people, you might have 30 people ahead of you that are just putting your bags up there because the flight attendants don't usually patrol that. So I'm standing in line, and I'm not a chit chatter when I'm with my friends. I am, but when I'm at the airports like this, I just want to kind of zone out. So I'm standing in line, and all of a sudden the pilot comes to the podium and says, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Captain Mark Hardcastle." And as soon as you did that, you can see the other passengers who fly a lot. We all looked at each other going, "Oh, this is not good." You don't want a pilot to come on the PA system prior to your flight. This means there's a cancellation, mechanical problem, delay, whatever it is. So I'm sitting there going, because your mind always goes to the negative. I believe in the power of negative thought. So I'm already going, oh, crap, my days were, So gets on and goes, "Hi, my name's Captain Mark Hardcastle. I want to thank you for flying United. And I want to wish all the passengers a safe and enjoyable flight. And I just want you to know the weather is perfect. We're going to leave on time. We'll probably get there a little bit early. I'll keep you updated when I get when we get ready to take off." And then he did something I've never seen a captain do in all my millions of flying? And this should be standard operating procedure. He goes and walks to the back of the line and he starts shaking people's hands and introducing himself to them. And you can see the woman behind me is not too thrilled. But so, and I'm waiting for him to come up to the front, and he shakes my hand and introduces himself and said, I hope you don't mind, but I do consult for your airline. And while you were standing in line, I did send a copy of the picture to the CEO and to the senior vice president who's in charge of pilots and then flight attendants, because what you're doing, everyone should do. And the reason I was so impressed with that is the message it sent. Think about this. Number one, when he came up to the gate agents automatically changed their tune. Because if the captain's doing this, I got to up my game. So without saying anything, they automatically became nicer, a little bigger smile, a little friendlier. Number one. Number two, when he got on the plane, what do you think his co-pilot and flight attendants start doing? Upping their game. If the captain go out and do this, why can't we do this? He could have sat in the cockpit and chit-chatted a little bit before the flight. And then what did he do with the passengers? He made us all feel good. And it was just a little tiny, simple touch. So here's some things. I don't usually have people write down a lot of things during a session, but these are a couple things to write down because I think they're very important. You're only as good as your worst employee. Let me prove that. You go to a restaurant and you have bad service, bad food. What do you tell people? Don't go there. I never hear anybody saying, hey, if you go to Applebee's, don't go to any of them. Or they don't say, don't go to the one on Mayfield Road. What they do is they blame the whole place. And it's typically a cook or a server, it could be one or two people. So one person can ruin it for everybody. And how do you know what your people are doing unless you observe them? And back in the late 80s, Tom Peters, and all the books that you read, whether it's sales, sales management, customer service, leadership, it's just regurgitated information. The only thing new is technology. Everything we're talking about has been discussed. And each book has a different spin on it, but it's not new. But Tom Peters brought something out in the late 80s to remind us again, and he called it different spin, MBWA, which is managing by wandering around. And how do you know what people are doing unless you're wandering around? Look at Disney. At Disney, the managers, supervisors don't have offices. They want you in the park observing. If you're at Cedar Point and you spend $80 for your kid's dipping dots and the kid drops it a minute later, you're mad at your kid, the kid's crying, good luck trying to see if it'll ever be cleaned up. And that's the end of your dipping dots. If you do that at Disney World, count back from 4. Before you even get to 1, someone's going to find you and go, come here, I saw it happen. Let me get you another one. And someone's cleaning it up immediately. You won't find graffiti at Disney World. They just do things differently in the way they pay attention to stuff. So when you look at some of the best companies in the world, the best companies, they see it from the customer's perspective. What does the customer want? So when my first book came out, and I see a couple of my close friends on here, you know, my friends and my family are going, Hal, where's your next book? I don't have a next book. And at that time, I just sold my company called Direct Opinions. And we were the ones, if you took your car into a dealership where they called to see if you're satisfied, that was my company. And we literally did tens of millions of phone calls. We had 9 cities with offices. And I just remember how simple we did this. We only asked people 3 questions. So if you took your car to a dealership, we just asked you, we call, hi, my name is Debbie, calling for Ford. We didn't say from Ford, for Ford. One word made a difference where it was honest, legitimate. We're calling for Ford or Nissan or whatever it might be. I'd like to ask you 3 quick questions. Were you satisfied with the service? Is there anything you were dissatisfied with? Do you have any suggestions how we can improve? That was it. That was all we asked. And I find that we complicate simplicity. And if you don't ask your customers if they're satisfied, how are you going to know? And then if they do have a problem, there's 2 words we don't say anymore because of social media. Everybody's got to comment. Everybody's got to give their opinion. Instead, why don't we try these two things? I'm sorry, but not going through the motions. If all of a sudden I said something today and, Michelle or Joe goes, Hal, you know what you said today kind of offended me. Wow. First of all, thank you for telling me. Number two, I am deeply sorry. What can I do to make it up? In fact, I say that to my wife every morning. I'm sorry. And she goes, well, for whatever I do later, because I'm going to screw something up. So one of the things I really liked was the TV show Friends. And there was a character named Joey Tribbiani. And every time he met a woman, he had this signature line, how you doing? Well, I add one word to that, and I call it a reverse Joey. Why don't we ask every one of our customers, how are we doing for you? And it's so simple, but if it comes across with genuine attitude, with sincerity, it's not complicated. And I'm looking at Mark right now and my friends, and we have a mutual friend named Beth Ann. And she had one of the greatest lines I've ever heard as a homemaker. And I said, oh, I got to steal that line from you. And she goes, why are you making your problem my problem? So when I go somewhere and right about it, they go, no, I go, why not? Well, this is our policy, whatever it is. I go, why are you making your problem my problem? I'm just calling to get this taken care of. And believe it or not, the bigger the companies, the dumber they are. You call, I'm not going to mention names, but whether it's your cable, whether it's your cell phone, whatever it is, you have a little issue, you call them up. Now they're trying to sell you additional services. Hey, Sparky, I called because I just want the problem taken care of. I don't need more than that. But this is the kind of society we're going through now. Pretty much everywhere you go, this is what we find.
Have you ever worked with Dr. Francis? Oh, yeah. He's okay.
Just okay?
Guess who just got reinstated? Well, not officially. Nervous?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. I'll see you in there.
Just okay is not okay. 18.
So I get the idea. So before when I was talking about triple wins, things like that, one commercial I've ever seen, only one, was so powerful. I literally found it on YouTube, made a copy of it. Not saying they do this, because companies can have great commercials, but they don't live their philosophy. I only rented a car from them once. It was an okay experience. It wasn't unbelievable, but the commercial hit home with me. And let me play the commercial for you, because I just love it. I just love what they say and how and what they mean by it.
At Enterprise, we take renting a car personally.
And we want your rental experience to be perfect.
But if there ever is a problem, we all have the power to make it right.
I don't have to find a manager. I don't have to make a phone call.
I can make it right.
I can make it right.
I can make it right.
We all can.
At Enterprise, we live customer service.
Let us show you what that means.
We'll pick you up.
Now, again, I'm not sure if that's real, if it's phony, but the concept is great. So I'd like you to write one more thing down, because if chances are you're going to remember 10%, 50% what I'm talking about today, but a couple of lines really stand out. And I just love this line, beside you're only good as your worst employee. But I love the word creative opportunities. Sounds weird, but I want my client to have a problem. I want them to have an issue where I get to now overreact and take care of them. Just because you did what you said you're going to do doesn't mean you're fabulous. What are you going to do when they really need you? And the best companies, I mean, the real premier companies, which are handfuls, do this. The person closest to the problem is closest to the solution. That's a key line. See, a lot of companies have a pyramid where the CEO is up here and the people are down here, and they cannot fix the solution, but they're closest to the problem. So I'll give you a couple ideas of what I think are the dumbest business models I have ever seen in any industry. And if I had a CEO on this call of one of these industries, I'm not going to back off my opinion because they're going to agree with me. But they haven't changed. Banks and hotels have ridiculous business models. Let me explain why. You go into a hotel, who is the first person you see, and typically the last person you see, again, prior to COVID with touchless, everything's touchless, but the front desk. You check in, before you leave, you get your bill, you check out, whatever it might be, but that's your point of contact. You have an issue, who's front desk? Who's the least trained? Front desk. Typically the least paid? Front desk. Who sees the most amount of customers? Front desk. Who's got the least amount of empowerment? Front desk. Go into a bank. Who does every customer see if you walk into a bank? Or if you're driving through, same thing, teller. Least paid, highest turnover, least amount of empowerment, sometimes least amount of training. They're trained on the infrastructure, but not on soft skills, customers. And if there's a problem, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Something as simple as, I can't tell how many times I need, let's say, whatever. They go, oh, that's a $2 charge. Or just recently, I have a money market fund. I won't say which one. And I haven't looked at it, just sitting there. And I just did, just for a little, and I noticed, and I didn't even go back in time because I was too upset. I've got $2 service charges for them to keep my money to get hardly any interest. So I just go in there, I go, look, I see this $2 service charge. I go, I'd like to close my account. And here's what they said, just like that. Sure. They didn't even say, would you like us to refund the service charge, or how many months has that happened? Let me look at the computer real quick. Oh my God, you've had this for 8 months. Let me refund that. Is there anything else I can do? Yeah, keep my money. Thank you very much for being nice. That just happened last week, and it's non-stop. So Frank mentioned something I wasn't going to throw in, but because he mentioned it, I'm going to now. And that's what I like about being on the fly and being able to change things. But Frank talked about listening skills. And I am a phony to talk about this. And I know a few of my friends are going to start laughing. I'm the world's worst listener. And here's why. And I try to get better at this. I have little notes and everything. Try to get better. Here's the reason why and the science behind it. We talk at typically 225 words a minute, but we think at 500. So our brain is filling in that 275. So while you're supposed to be listening, I'm thinking of my next question, my next thought. And because I'm old, I got to interrupt them before I forget. And if I don't interrupt them, I forget my thought. So now I got to carry a little piece of paper and a pen everywhere I go, even with friends, to write something down so I don't interrupt them. And listening is so important. And all of us are terrible at this. How many times you meet someone for the first time, and if I paid you $50 a second later to give me their name, you're going, I didn't catch it, because we're not listening. So how do you become a better listener? I'm going to give you my opinion, and it's just my opinion. Practice. Practice. Whatever you're bad at, practice. So but the only way I can practice this for myself is I got to catch myself being a bad listener, almost like flick myself, where you don't go, okay, slow it down, focus and listen. And so I'm going to show you a video. You're the first group I'm going to show this to. I just got it a couple days ago. I thought this is hysterical on listening skills. So let me show it to you. It's really funny. At least it was for me.
First, there was PlayStation, aka PS1. Then there's PS2, PS3, and now PS4. And that makes sense. You'd think after Xbox, there'd be Xbox 2. But no. Next came Xbox 360. And now, after 360, comes Xbox One. Why one? Maybe that's how many seconds of thought they put into naming it.
Can you get the butter, please?
However, with the Xbox One, I can control my entire entertainment system using voice commands. Up until now, I've had to use Leonard.
Then get the other one. Pass the butter.
Hang on. I don't feel like you're taking this dilemma seriously.
Fine, Sheldon. You have my undivided attention.
Okay, now the PS4 is more angular and sleek looking.
No way.
It's true, but the larger size of the Xbox One may keep it from overheating.
You wouldn't want your gaming system to overheat?
No, see, well, you absolutely would not. And furthermore, the Xbox One now comes with a Kinect included.
Included?
Yes. Not sold separately. Although the PS4 uses cool new GDDR5 RAM, while the Xbox One is still using the conventional DDR3 memory.
Why would they still be using DDR3? Are they nuts?
See, that's what I thought. But then they go and throw in an ES RAM buffer.
Oh, wait a second. Who's they?
The Xbox.
You're kidding!
No, I am not. And this ES RAM buffer should totally bridge the 100 gigabit per second bandwidth gap between the two RAM types.
This is a nightmare. How will you ever make a decision?
See, I don't know. What should I do?
Please pass the butter.
I just love that. So one of the, if you'll notice, I can't think of the word. People in the news business who read the news, anchors, journalists, they all do this so many times, and it's an easy trick. It's called paraphrasing. When they have a guest on, they try these things. So, Mr. or Mrs., what you're saying to me is, or if I understand you correctly, and by paraphrasing does two things. Number one, it allows the other person to let them know that you're listening to them, but it gives you that split second to think about what you're going to say next or think about. And there's a great video. If you really want some help on listening skills, probably the best video I've ever seen in my life that I've used as a mantra, and I've taken her bullet points to provide in classes. And again, when you see the best, it's just the best. Her name is Celeste Headley. I think it's Headly, something close, but she's a newscaster for NPR. Just put Celeste listening on YouTube. And it's a TED Talk, or Celeste, listening TED. And it's 12 minutes of perfection on listening skills. And it's supposedly one of the best ever. I've never met him, but everyone I know who's ever met him said he was the best they've ever been around was Bill Clinton. For some reason, Bill Clinton has this aura about him. When you speak with him, he engulfs you with his personality, and he makes you feel that you're the only person in the world at that moment. And a lot of us don't do that. How many times you're on the phone with customer service somewhere, and again, you're hearing the clicking, you're hearing all these things that the person's not listening to. They're just going through their motions on reading scripts, and you really want someone that really just kind of cares. So here's another one that's relatively new. Give me 1 second to find it. Give me 1 second. It was on, here we go, on listening. And it's really cute. It's very short, but it proves the point of trying to do more than one thing at a time and where you're not paying attention to someone. And again, I just got this. I haven't shown this to anyone yet.
All right, our special guest right now, Wayne Campbell, Garth Elgar, Wayne's World. All right, talking about Wayne Stock. Very exciting, big event. Everybody's excited, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be a big concert at Adlai Stevenson Park. It's just going to be a big party. We got some great bands coming, like Aerosmith. I just want to remind everybody that there's still plenty of tickets left.
But that's no reason to wait till the last minute.
Because it's just a chance for the city of Aurora
to do something
fun and to put the city on the map.
It's a lot of work.
Oh, well, work is hard.
You're not really listening to me, are you? I mean, I could say anything right now, like you're a complete tool.
But you wouldn't hear it, because you're a freak with a microphone.
It's not even challenging anymore. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Isn't that true, Sphincter Boy?
What? Oh! They're getting closer all the time. All right, good information about Wayne Stock. Very exciting. We'll be back with more right after Pig Sports. Right now, it's 16 minutes past the big hour. Is that not right, Mr. Scream? Great, good stuff. I think people are getting really cranked.
We just want someone to listen. So on and my website doesn't sell anything, but I've got a lot of common sense stuff there under a customer service and listening, but there's what I call a customer service warranty card. If you're in business and you like this and you want to take it and add your logo and your name to it or change it around, this isn't my stuff. This is everybody's stuff. But I'll just go through the 3 basics that, to me, if you understand this, you really understand customer service. Number 1 is understanding. Customer service isn't what you think it is. It's what the customer thinks. Very few people really ask in companies the real hard question. Tell me, are you saying, how are we doing for you? And really mean it. And if they have a problem, fix it. If you want them as a customer, try to have a problem that won't get rectified at Nordstrom. I'm not a Nordstrom shopper, but all my friends that are will tell you that you can't have a problem. I remember Fran Brody used to be the general manager there. She was telling me a story that before she was manager, she was assistant manager, and somebody was coming in doing something, delivering a table or something. And by accident, they're delivering something and they got the carpet. They had white carpet in their house and they destroyed it with grease on their shoes. And the customer's upset. And Fran said, well, okay, here, go get a quote to the installer, whoever it was, or call the customer, get a quote on carpeting, whatever you get, replace it, send me the bill, I'll pay for it. Just do it. Customer goes, what? Because they're expecting a problem, because we all expect problems. She just hit it right on. Just take care of whoever you use. I'll just send me the bill and I'll pay it. What? And then in the meantime, she wrote a letter of resignation to her boss because she thought, and this is not made up, she thought for sure she was going to be fired, but this is what she felt she should do as a Nordstrom employee. When her boss got back a few days later, she came with this and look, I know I'm going to get fired. I just want to give my resignation letter. And just, he goes, what? He goes, I would have fired you if you didn't do that. And that's their style. I can tell you so many stories where someone wanted a pair of shoes and they were out of stock. That size was out of stock. The employee went to their competitor, bought the shoes for $10 more and came back for the customer. They bought the shoes from someone else, but they wanted to satisfy their customer. So it's not always what you think. And what I just went into is number 2, being creative. And customer service is doing more for the customer than the customer expects. Just do more. Number 3, be nice. The customer might not be in charge. I'm sorry, the customer might not be right. You've all heard that line, oh, the customer is always right. No, they're not. No, they're not. Typically they're wrong, but they're in charge. When you say no to a customer, just figure this, say bye-bye. Now, let's look at all your individual businesses where you used to be in business or you are now. Let's be real. 2 to 3% of your customers, maybe even up to 10%, are incredible. They're wonderful. They're loyal. You love them. They love you. They're not going anywhere. They don't nickel and dime you. They're just great customers who you're not a vendor to them, you're a partner. A lot of them fall in the middle. But then you got 2 or 3% of craziness. They're just crazy. And you can't fix crazy. The greatest thing you could ever do, and I know you're going to be shaking your heads yes on some of this, when you tell a customer, bye-bye, bye-bye. Sue and I, we were talking about that yesterday. Bye-bye. And when you get rid of a customer or a complainer or someone that's driving you nuts, you just freed up your time. Why should we have this negativity? We'll replace them with someone else. But the whole thing on customer service, which corresponds with sales, customer service is asking, not telling, listening, not talking. People buy from people. So I want to end with one more video. It's one of my all-time favorites. I've shown it in so many different seminars, but it's just such a classic, but it says it all about customer service. And then we'll take some Q&A and whatever you want to talk about. It's only a couple minutes long.
Seinfeld, you made a reservation for a mid-size, and she's a small. Kidding around, of course.
Let's see here.
66 years old.
Yeah, well, he's in perfect health. He works out. He's vibrant. You'd really like him.
Why do people always say that? I hate everybody. Why would I like him?
What do you think? Could you go out with a 66-year-old woman?
Well, I'll tell you, she would have to be really vibrant. So vibrant, she'd be spinning.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have no mid-size available at the moment.
I don't understand. I made a reservation. Do you have my reservation?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we ran out of cars.
But the reservation keeps the car here. That's why you have the reservation.
I know why we have reservations.
I don't think you do. If you did, I'd have a car. See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding. Anybody can just take them.
Let me speak with my supervisor.
There we go. The supervisor. You know what she's saying over there? What? See those two people over there? They think I'm talking to you. So you pretend like you're talking to me. Okay, now you start talking.
You mean like this, so it looks like I'm saying something, but I'm not really saying anything at all?
Okay, now you say something else, and they won't yell at me because they thought I was checking with you.
Okay, I leave. That's enough. See you later.
I'm sorry, my supervisor says there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it looked like you were in a real conversation over there.
But we do have a compact if you would like that.
Fine.
All right. We have a blue Ford Escort for you, Mr. Seinfeld. Would you like insurance?
Yeah, you better give me the insurance because I am going to beat the hell out of this.
So the last end today, then we'll take time for questions. About 26 years ago, I had really bad service, and I don't know what caused me. And this is when they had bookstores. I'm going to the bookstore, I'm looking at all these books, and they're all written on customer service about the goody-goody companies, Ritz-Carlton, LL Bean, Southwest Airlines, just what all the best companies do. And it hit me. I go, there's never been a book written of the worst companies in America. I mean, the crappiest, worst companies in America. And then maybe what the best companies do. So it was like, whoa. I took, in those days before I had an iPhone, I had a pocket dictator for 2 years. Every time I had bad service, I dictated it. I had over 200 stories. I took the top 50, and at that time I had an agent. We get to our agent, and he goes, well, Hal, this is pretty good, but and then it went out to bid. I mean, it was like, because it's never been done. And then when the publisher agreed to buy it, we went through all the contract negotiations. He goes, Hal, I want you to know something. You're not going to be on book tour. You're going to be on court tour. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you can't keep the names of the companies in there. Sure, it's all personal. It happened to me. He goes, we're not going to indemnify you. You're going to be spending millions to defend yourself in each one of these other cities or countries where they're headquartered. Oh, really? So I had to change the names. Now this book is 23 years old, except for the technology part. It reads like it was written yesterday. Tell me if you can tell if you ever had experience with these companies. And of course, I will not mention the names because we changed them all. Imbecile Suite Hotels, Office Stuff, The Place Where You Mail Stuff At, Veronica's Drawers, Lending a Ton Bank, Hal Ton. I go on and on. And what happened is just, it was a bad experience, again, with one person, maybe one policy, but that's what happens every day. And it's worse now. And so I realized that when I wrote the book, when I interviewed 10 of the greatest companies in the world and what their CEOs did, they just empowered their people and try to create that triple win. Make it right for the customer, make the employee feel good about their job and they can handle it, and at all costs, keep the customer. So it's quarter of. I'd like to keep whatever time you'd like for Q&A, and Frank, I'll let you open it up because that's what you said to me. 15 minutes of Q&A, and I'm a professional, so I'm on the money.
Yeah, all you have to do is just unmic, and since we're all on the panel here, we can just unmic and just ask a question, and we'll all talk. We'll have Hal answer it. Well, there's got to be a brave soul out there with a burning question.
I'll sit here and stare at it.
I have a question.
All right, Marcus.
My question is, you talked about earlier, have those points where you're trying to be a listener, you're trying to listen to them, you're trying to let the person come out.
Breaking up.
Things. How do you, okay, I'm sorry.
Nope, you're breaking up. Why don't we come back to you? I think Stephanie.
My internet's going out.
Marcus, you're breaking up. Can't hear you.
Maybe you could, Marcus, maybe you can send it on the Q&A, send a written message. And I can have Hal read it, because you're getting a lot of background vibration.
Hey, Hal.
Yeah.
Does all these principles that we talked about apply to, obviously, I assume so, to small businesses? You know, not all of us have huge corporate structures, and we're one-on-one with our customers, and obviously I can see where most of the same things apply. But is there anything small businesses can do to obtain the same, or even more so, because we work with less customers, not like a Nordstrom's. I only deal with so many people. So
Well, Bobby,
how do I increase that?
Since I know what you do, and I think I can turn it where it affects everybody listening, I'll give you an example if you don't mind.
Please.
Someone here gets a home theater at their house, and Bobby sets up, uses what's called a Harmony remote control, and sets up your whole system on a home theater, and you can't figure it out, okay? And you're having problems. Instead of getting frustrated on the phone, Bobby says, look, here's the deal. Let me do this. Let me try to help you right now over the phone as a temporary fix. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to come out. Would you be available Saturday on my way home? I will personally come out, and I will draw up some instructions, and I'll have it laminated to give you to keep on under your phone or somewhere near your TV. If any of these issues come up, you can follow A, B, C, or how to turn it on, or troubleshooting. The key is, you know, if somebody has a problem, you want to be. Another book was written in the 80s called Raving Fans. You want to have every customer as a raving fan, whether you only have 10 customers or 10,000 like Rolls Royce. But will it cost us more time, maybe a little bit of money? Sure. But how many more people will that person tell about you? And I've always had this philosophy, I call it the Bruce Springsteen method of business. When he did a concert, he did 4 hours and 20 minutes. What made him a rock legend was not his music, not his lyrics at first, was his legendary performances. And I think we all have legendary performances to get that person to talk about us, it builds word of mouth business. So I don't think it has anything to do with size. You just have to sit there and go, what do I have to do to make the customer happy?
That's what I do.
Marcus, if you don't mind, Marcus, if you don't mind, I don't want to forget about him, just typing in your question, it'll be much easier, and then I can answer it. Go ahead, Bobby.
No, I appreciate that. That's basically the philosophy. The smaller businesses, I actually have an advantage, I think, because there's so much one-on-one contact with the owner, and we kill them with service. We just kill them. I mean, to the point where if they call at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday, by 1:30, I'm back at the phone and arranging to show up at their door. So I think it's important for small businesses to really kill them with kindness. All the things you said about being nice, creative, and taking care of the problem is essential to our success. And I've been in business 34 years. So it really does make a difference. And yeah, it goes to show that these are simple principles. You just got to apply them to your employees and to yourself, obviously.
I'll give you one last thing. A guy I know, and since we're in Cleveland, many of you might know him, John DeJulius, owns a few number of spas called John Roberts. And he became I saw him speak one time. He was so amazing. I go, you should be on the speaking circuit. And he started reinventing himself as a second business, as a speaker and author of customer service books now. But he did something that was brilliant. And every business can find something similar to this. And it made so much sense. And I know I'm giving away a secret, but I don't care. If you go into his stores, you'll see people wearing smocks, like the way you get your hair done, smock. so the hair just, they brush it off you. And I think I'm making the colors up, but it's red or burgundy and white. So he's got everybody you look around, they're either wearing a burgundy smock or a white smock. You're not going to pay attention. But the people there know the difference. And I don't know which is which. If you're wearing a burgundy smock, that means you're a repeat customer. You're there over and over. If you're wearing a white one, you're a brand new first time in the place customer. What does that tell everybody? It's like new driver bumper sticker. Pay attention to that person. So, and every one of us can find something, do something where you just want to treat every customer the same. You know, you shouldn't be looking at this one spending this amount, this one spending this amount. I don't want my doctor to treat me differently because I might have less money or somebody has more money. I want them to spend the same time with me and make me feel that they care about me. Marcus had a question. What's a great tip or technique when you're trying to be a great listener but need to bring the conversation back to topic at hand? That's a great question. And I'm famous for this, so I'll tell you what I do that really kind of might piss people off, but it does work. Ask a question, but ask a relevant question. So if Bobby was talking about his business and he says he's been in business 34 years, I might just say something, go, well, wow, you know, what was your first, what did you do before that? So what I'm going to do is redirect the conversation into something that is still pertinent, but you take ownership. See, when you ask a question to someone, you are now controlling the conversation or manipulating it. So when you ask the question, it now becomes yours, and you can take them anywhere. And you can watch any newscaster. In fact, I don't remember her name, but on Saturday morning, right after it's 10:30, Brianna, I'm not even sure. She's pregnant right now, and she's amazing at what she does. But when these politicians pontificate and go on and on, she just interrupts them, stops them from talking, and poses another question. Or she'll keep asking the same question, go, you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question. And anytime she does that, she owns the conversation again. So that's the best way to answer your question, Marcus. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Come on.
Well, I have one. I mean, how do you deal with, like I said, the major increase in use of electronic communication, which tends to be more impersonal and two-dimensional versus one-on-one, even with Zoom? I mean, how do you create that warmth? How do you go about getting people to communicate more effectively with the advent of use of email and texting and everything else?
Well, I'm going to give you two answers to that. Number one, if anybody's got kids 13, 14, 15, and they text you and you pick up the phone a second later to call them and they don't pick up the phone,
yeah, I know.
That's the world we're in. So, you know, this next generation is not used to a phone. I mean, my generation, I remember a cord that was 34 feet long. You had a yellow or green phone on the wall with a rotary dial or a Princess phone with touch tone. We grew up on phones. So I think technology is wonderful, but we need to ask people a question that we don't do. And I think this question is imperative that we say to our customers, how do you prefer communication? How would you like me to communicate with you? Personally, I hate email. Why? I type 25, 30 words a minute, okay? And then after I type it, I got to look at the misspelled words. Then I look at what auto spell did. And then I hit set. I could leave you a voicemail at 225 words a minute with my inflection, my tone, and everything goes full circle. The articles now that are appearing in Inc. magazine and Fortune and Wall Street Journal, there's a little shift starting to go back to voice. And with the advent of 5G, which is going to release amazing amounts of bandwidth, we will truly have the Dick Tracy watch. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're way too young. Go watch a cartoon on Saturday morning. But when we can literally call someone and go, hey, Mark, what's happening? Sorry I missed you. Give me a call back. And instead of leaving a voicemail, I'll have a video mail. As I'm walking, I can leave this for them. It shows your tone, your inflection, your humor, your sarcasm. Every one of us have miscommunicated with friends and family over text or email. let alone customers who don't know you. I will always try to do face-to-face first, phone second. I'll tell you what I love about this. When the pandemic started in March of 2020, Zoom had 10 million users. In August of 2020, which is what, 7 months ago, they have 300 million users. I've never seen this in modern times, but we took a name and made another verb out of it. Remember years ago, you didn't make a copy, you made a Xerox. You didn't put a shear strip on, you put a Band-Aid on. You didn't ask for a tissue, you got a Kleenex. Now what do we tell people? Let's set up a Zoom. In fact, this morning, who I've never done this with, I just reached out to him. I said, look, why aren't we doing this? 2 of my cousins, let's do a Zoom. What's a good time for you? They said Sunday. This morning, Sunday at 8 o'clock, sent out a Zoom invite. And I'm gonna be able to see them on a large screen that is better than the phone. And it's like being with them as close as I can. And I've been talking to some CFOs recently of pretty major companies, and they're looking at their travel expenditures. And they're saying, you know, for the price of an airplane ticket, I can get that employee, buy them a 65-inch TV, have the Geek Squad from Best Buy come in and install it, and have wireless AirPlay, whatever it is, or even with an HDMI, and we can do a Zoom conferences rather than jumping and seeing that person. When it's that large of a screen, it's like being there. So I believe, Frank, in adopting technology, using it properly, but nothing is going to replace face-to-face, which is Zoom, because email should be for information, not communication. Anytime you're doing email, it's one-sided. There's no communication. And it's a very poor and ineffective way to communicate with people.
Thanks, Hal. We have 2 questions in the chat room. I don't know if you can read them or you want
Yes,
me
I
to.
can. Okay, can you provide a tip? Wait. My son doesn't answer my text. Okay. A tip or technique for getting the worst employee on board? Yeah, fire them. Okay. Yes, you can't train the most important skills. This happens in the interviewing process. So you call them in your office and you sit down and say, look, you suck. Okay, I don't care how you say it. You're in double secret probation. You got to get your act together. I'm giving you 30 days. If you turn it around and work on your attitude, hey, I don't want to let you go. I do not want to let you go. You know, I'll never forget. I don't follow sports, but I follow deeply the psychology of coaching. And I'm playing golf, and I'm name dropping him on purpose to give him credit. A guy named Mike Hargrove. He was the manager of the Indians. And we're in a cart together for hours. And I said, he was so nice. I said, Hal, what do you want to know about baseball? I go, nothing. I hate baseball. I think the only thing more boring than baseball is golf on radio. But tell me, I remember your wife, whose name was Sharon, and you guys were really involved in the community. Tell me about your family life. So he looked at me. I don't think anybody's ever asked him that question. And now we talk about his home, where he lives, his family, his kids. And it was a really nice conversation. When we're all done, I said, look, I do know a tiny bit about baseball, but not that much. But I remember you had a problem child, and I'm giving you his words, named Albert Bell.
Yep.
And what'd you do with a problem child? He goes, oh, it's really simple. I said one thing to him all season long. This is exactly his words, because I wrote them down. He goes, Albert, do you want to be in the Hall of Fame? Because of course I do. How are you going to get there if I keep you on the bench all season long? You can't train attitude. If they want to get their attitude together and they want to learn something new or do something better that's best for the company, then this is what we're paying you for. You know, I'm not giving you a paycheck to, you are part of the company and you're supposed to do what I ask. I mean, when I got married, I made promises to my wife. I'm going to be faithful and support the family. All these promises, I'm going to keep my promises. I remember telling my daughter, we call it rewards and consequences. If you do great things, you get things. If you don't do great things, you're grounded. It's really simple.
We're at time, but we have one question here if you want to answer the last one.
How do you get the employee that is not service-oriented to understand the items you talked about today? Give them one last, say, look, here's what we need to talk about. Can you do this? Yes or no? we dance around subject matter that is like, wait a minute, you spend more time with your employees than you do your family. Sit them down, tell them the ground rules. Are you on board or not? And the last question is, that's I guess, Frank, you're in charge, whatever.
Well, thank you. For all, one of the nice surprises we're going to have, we're going to be providing a book to everyone who attended today that Hal wrote on lip service. So look for that in the mail probably in the next week. If you have any questions, Hal, do you want me to provide your email, or if you'll have follow-up questions?
Anybody wants, just go to halbecker.com.
All right.
Cell phone is there, email, home address, Google me. I don't care, whatever you want.
Well, thank you, Hal.
Friends bother me, I'm not returning your call.
And I want to thank everyone attending. We'll have one of these every quarter, so be on the lookout for one next quarter. But we want to thank everyone for attending. Hopefully you got as much value as I did. I never get tired of listening to Hal and the lessons he shares from his experiences in coaching and sales training. So with that, I want to thank everyone. Continue to be safe and have a happy holiday season.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for giving me
everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.